Today we're going to be making a lemon ricotta cheesecake. This is a recipe from Delia Smith's winter collection, and I'm going to be calling this a keto friendly cheesecake, or a keto friendly recipe, because there's very little sugar in it really compared to most desserts for sure. There's going to be some oat biscuits in it, and there's going to be some caster sugar, but that's just about it. There's a little bit of sugar in the ricotta cheese, but very little, and it actually works out at 16 grams of sugar per serving, or 23 grams of carbohydrates per serving if you take a sixth of the cheesecake. If you actually divide this cheesecake into 8, which I think is still a reasonable sized portion, there's only 13 grams of sugar or 17 grams of carbs. So while not carb free, it's definitely, I would consider, keto friendly, and you're not compromising on taste. There is no artificial sweetener in this. The sweetness comes from the lemons, from the cheese, and from the biscuit base. So let's take a look at what you're actually going to need to make this. It's a lemon ricotta cheesecake, so you're going to need some ricotta and some lemons. You also need some heavy whipping cream or double cream, some eggs, some flaked almonds, some oat biscuits, some gelatin powder, and in addition to that, basic stuff like some butter and some sugar. As I said, this is a very keto friendly diet. There are no artificial sweeteners in this, so you're not compromising on taste. And from a low carb, high fat point of view, you're getting plenty of fat from the ricotta cheese, from the biscuits, from the cream. So let's make a start. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our biscuit base. So you put your 4 ounces of oat biscuits, which is, I guess, just a little bit over 100 grams of oat biscuits, and 1 ounce flaked almonds. 1 ounce is 28 grams of flaked almonds. And you can put them into a bag and you can bash them with a rolling pin. But I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to use this food processor just to break these up. So all we're going to do, we're going to blitz these so they're broken up really finely, and then we're going to mix them with some butter and bake them in the oven. Ground our biscuits up however you're going to do that, either with a rolling pin or in the food processor. We need to mix that with 2 ounces of melted butter. So I've just put that in the microwave for around about 20-25 seconds, and it's melted nicely. So we're going to add the butter to the biscuit. I'm going to mix that up. And then we're going to put this biscuit butter mixture into our tin. Now this is an 8-inch tin with a loose bottom. You can use a 7 or an 8-inch springform tin or a loose bottom tin. If you haven't got either of those, but you've got a pie dish, you can use that. You're just not going to be able to extract or remove the whole cheesecake from the tin. So if you want to display this on a plate, if you're going to serve this for guests, you really do need to be able to remove it from the tin. If you're just eating it for yourself, you can use a pie dish and just get it out with a pie wedge. Or the other option is, and I've done this before, is to get some ramekin dishes, sort of this size, which are around about 3 to 4 inches in diameter, and make individual ones. So that's another option. And then that goes into your tin, and then you just simply press that out across the base so it forms a nice even layer, and then you want to press that into the corners as well. As I say, try and spend a little bit of time on this, make sure that it's evenly spread out. But what you are left with then is a very nice, even, thin layer of biscuit base. Just gives your cheesecake a little bit of a crunch. That's perfect timing. The oven's ready. That's going to then go into the oven. Don't be afraid to get your fingers in. If you can't get like me, I can't get the spoon all the way into the centre, so just get your fingers in there and push that biscuit out from the centre to make sure that as evenly distributed as you can. Actually feel better with your fingers, you can feel where the lumps and bumps are. So once you've got your biscuit into your tin and you've got your oven preheated. Now Delia asks for 400 Fahrenheit or 200 Celsius, which I guess is probably gas mark 5. But what I've found in the past is if you do use 400 Fahrenheit, it can burn the biscuits a little bit, because we're going to cook this or bake this for 20 minutes. So that you've got the choice, you can bake it at 400 for maybe 15 minutes, but what I choose to do is I lower the temperature a little bit down to 375, which is 190 Celsius, and I leave it for 20 minutes. But just keep an eye on it, you don't want your biscuit to be burning. While your biscuit is baking in the oven, you can take that time to prepare the lemons. So what the recipe calls for is 3 to 4 lemons, or the zest from 3 to 4 lemons. I've only got 2, but these are pretty big lemons. And then you need to be able to extract 150 millilitres of juice from those. So you need a juice extractor, and you need something to get the zest off with. So you can use a plane like this if you've got one. If not, you could use a standard grater that you'll have in your kitchen. Just use a smaller one, because you want to have fine zest. Careful to watch your fingers, don't take the zest off your fingers, that hurts. So this is what it looks like when you've taken the zest off one of the lemons. So we have to be careful not to get any of the white pith that's underneath. The zest is the yellow outer skin. The outer skin is what contains the lemon oil, which is what protects the lemon when it's still hanging on the tree or when it's sat in your fruit bowl. So that's what we want, that's what's going to give it the intense, rich lemon flavour. And it also adds a little bit of sweetness. The white pith underneath will actually add bitterness, so we want to be careful not to get too much of that over. So that's what it looks like when we've got the zest off of one of the lemons. So go ahead now and get the zest off of your other lemons. If you're using small ones, it'll be 4 lemons. If it's large ones like this, just a couple. And then we'll look at getting the juice out. Depending on what type of juicer you've got, it'll depend on how you get the juice out of the lemons. If you haven't got a juicer, you're just going to squeeze them. It's not as efficient, so you're not going to get as much out. You might have one where you sit the lemon on and twirl it around and get it into a bowl. I've got an old-fashioned wooden type thing, and we'll see how we get on. So we need 150 millilitres of lemon juice, and that works out to be 5 fluid ounces. If I do end up running short, I'll just add a little bit of concentrated lemon juice from the fridge. I have a Jif lemon or a It is important to get that 150 millilitres of liquid, because that will make sure that you've got the right consistency for your cheesecake. Now we come to what I would say is perhaps the trickiest part. It's not a tricky part at all, but it's the part that you could maybe go a little bit wrong, and that is preparing the gelatin. So the gelatin I'm using, and the gelatin that Delia calls for, comes in sachets. It's powdered gelatin, and we need 11 grams. These packets that we get over in the US contain about 9 grams per sachet. I think in the UK the standard size is 11 grams, so you need 1 sachet, or just if you're in the US, or a little bit more. So So what you need to do is you need to put that gelatin into a bowl and add 3 tablespoons of the lemon juice. And then we're going to whisk this to remove all the lumps. And then we're going to place the bowl over a pan of water that is simmering. And we're going to keep it on the heat for around about 10 minutes, and we want this gelatin to be translucent, not like this. We want it to be clear and smooth. And as I say, this is a little bit where you could get it wrong, because if you get lumps in the gelatin, it can transfer to the cheesecake and nobody wants that. So this is the bit where you take a little bit of time. If you think it looks a little bit thick like that, you can just add just maybe another half teaspoon of lemon juice. But the main thing is we want this gelatin mixture, when it's done, to be smooth, no lumps, and nice and clear. So as you can see, it does loosen up a little bit when you start to put some heat on it. And so I want to keep this going now for around about 10 minutes, and you'll see it change from this cloudy mixture to a much clearer mixture. While your gelatin is simmering, you can start to prepare the lemon cheesecake filling. And as I say, this is the best bit. This is the tasty bit. So what we need to do first is, into a food processor, we need to put our egg yolks, which are 2 of them, 2 egg yolks, 2.5 ounces, which is what, about 60 grams of sugar. That is the only added sugar we have in here, which is why I think, apart from the biscuits obviously, but I think they actually adding pure sugar, that's all we've got. So that's why I think this is a fairly good keto recipe. And then we need 12 ounces of ricotta cheese. 12 ounces of ricotta cheese is 350 grams. So in here we've got 2 egg yolks, 2.5 ounces of sugar, 12 ounces of ricotta cheese. And we're going to blend that up. And we're going to blend this for 1 minute. Next we're going to add our lemon zest. The remainder of the lemon juice. And pouring it through a strainer, we're going to add this gelatin, and that's just to make sure that there's no lumps get through, but that was smooth. And then blend it back on, and good mix again. And then the last thing we need to do for the filling is to prepare our cream. So there's 275 millilitres, which is 10 fluid ounces, and that wants to go into a large bowl, and I recommend doing this by hand. So we're going to whisk this until it starts to thicken. So we don't want it to be forming peaks, but we want it to start to thicken but still be loose. and then we're going to add that to the mixture. So I do recommend doing this by hand, because it is so easy to overdo it, and then you don't want to ruin the cheesecake if you make the cream too thick, but it will make the filling a little bit heavier, and if you get this right, it's a lovely light airy cheesecake. But if you over whisk the cream, it could become a little bit thick, more like a shop bought cheesecake, and this is nothing like a shop bought cheesecake. This is the best cheesecake you're going to ever taste. So it only takes a couple of minutes. Okay, so in a couple of minutes here you can start to see that's starting to thicken. It's not forming peaks. I would say that's done. That's ready to go in. And then you want to just blend this, but only for a short period, so maybe 15 seconds. That's it. So now the only thing left to do is to add this mixture to the biscuit base that we baked. So now we've prepared the biscuit base and we've prepared the filling, we can assemble the cheesecake. So what I've got here is some parchment paper, and you want that to extend above the top of the cake tin by about an inch, and that is just lining there so that it's going to make it easier to get out once it's set, and just if you want to present it. So carefully get all of that filling and that's it. That now goes into the fridge for around about 2.5 to 3 hours, and it's ready to eat. And the bit that's left in there is for the chef. So after around about 2.5 hours to 3 hours, the cheesecake should be set, so it's ready to eat. So carefully remove it from the tin, and I recommend serving this with some chilled fresh cream.